Beautiful. Okay. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know where you guys are joining us from, but I'm really, really happy that everyone's here. I know it's tough to make time on Saturday, so I'm so grateful that you're here today. Rather than spending the next hour just simply walking you guys through the curriculum, my hope is that you leave with something a little bit more valuable. Okay, I want you to leave with a good understanding of what psychic intuition is and what it isn't, and whether this path kind of feels right for you. So, for those of you who are new, I see some new names logging in. My name is Mana. I am a psychic. I'm a medium. I have been a death doula for about 20 years, a long time. And I founded the Conscious Leadership Institute that has all these different spiritual trainings. Okay, we do everything, you name it, and we have it. But this complimentary session is an opportunity for you to kind of experience how we teach at CLI and to see whether this course, the Psychic Intuitive one, resonates with where you are in your own journey. Now, I have on purpose kept the audio and the video off because we do receive, as I mentioned before, sometimes you'll receive bots in these free sessions. So I just want to make sure that no one is disrupting us, but you should be able to use the chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Okay. So what I have learned in all these years after teaching is that most people don't come to psychic development because they want to become a psychic. Okay, they come because something has been happening in their lives for years. Maybe you kind of walk into a room and you immediately sense like the tension in the room, right? Or maybe you thought that you were thinking about someone and they just called you, right? Or maybe you had a dream and you met with someone, met with a spirit guide, and everything made sense, perfect sense later. Some of you may have been told that, hey, you're very sensitive to energies, right? Or you can see through when people are lying to you. Or maybe you have spent years wondering if you are actually intuitive or you're just making it up. Are you just imagining it? So, if any of those questions kind of sound familiar to you, you're exactly who this course was designed for. And the Psychic Intuitive one is a very grounded, it's a very structured and ethical way of doing psychic readings. It isn't about becoming special, okay, because you guys are already special. It's not about performing or trying to predict the future because that's not what psychics do. It certainly isn't about walking around as an open portal. I don't know how many of you experienced that, where you're all the time you're channeling information, all the time you're receiving information. That's actually not a good thing because you're going to exhaust yourself, right? You're going to drain yourself. So it's this course is about learning how to listen very clearly, very safely, responsibly, to know when you can close yourself, to know when you can open and receive information with discernment. It's about listening to your own spirit, your own intuition, your own higher self. Because intuition isn't something that we force, it is something that we learn to recognize. We are all intuitive. Everyone on this call is intuitive, right? We just have to know how to recognize it when it arrives. Now, before I tell you anything about the curriculum, I would like you to experience intuition. Okay, so let's do a quick, very short exercise. Okay, what I want you guys to do is just take 30 seconds. Okay, it's not long. And I want you to close your eyes. Just wherever you are, lean back in your chair, close your eyes. And I would like you to think about someone you love. think about someone you love. And don't analyze. You don't want to force anything. You just want to simply notice, okay, what appears first. Maybe some of you will see an image, right? You may see their face. Some of you may get a feeling of love. Some of you may have a memory of that person or that animal. You may see a color, a word, or perhaps nothing at all. But I just want you to notice it and see if you can hold it. Hold how you receive it. And now take a nice deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and open your eyes. And that is a very gentle but a very quiet awareness that often is exactly how your intuition begins. Okay, it's never dramatic. Okay, it's not loud. It's not going to just show up like lightning bolt. It may, but mostly your intuition kind of, it's very quiet. And what you may have noticed is immediately after you receive the first image of the person you love or the pet you love, your brain started thinking, right? They were like a stream of thoughts. And what we call that is static. Okay, that's a noise. So your intuition is the first 5 seconds. And then everything after that is something else. Some of it is your instinct, some of it is your imagination, some of it could be just your fear, your belief systems. Everything begins to kick in. But this course is about learning how to recognize those first few seconds, like the 5 seconds, right? And that voice becomes cleaner, it becomes clear. And more importantly, what happens as you go through this training is you begin to trust it. You begin to trust the first 5 seconds of what you received. So one of the questions I hear the most is, do I need experience? Do I need to be a psychic? Do I need to have some background before I come into it? Your psychic training, psychic intuitive training is the foundation of everything that will follow. Like Gina's done some of the classes here, so she can tell you that this is just the beginning. Yeah. So your psychic training is like your bachelor's, right? And then mediumship would be the next level. And then channeling could be the next level. So the question, do I need experience? Absolutely not. Okay. This course was intentionally designed for all different levels. Some students arrive because they have already, they notice that they are intuitive and they just need a little bit more training. There are others who are simply curious about what this is all about, right? Some people are working in healthcare, some are therapists, some are coaches. We've had scientists before. Some could be Reiki practitioners, sound healers. Some have never taken a spiritual class in their life ever. Okay, I think that's how I met Gina a couple of maybe last year or so. And she just walked into one of our readings. You know, we had a mediumship reading session, and that's the first time I met her. So everyone begins exactly where you are, right? No one is expected to arrive in any of these classes knowing how to do anything. Okay. So at its core, if you're thinking, what is a psychic? Let me just pull this up for you real quick. So for those of you who are visual, let's use some of these slides here, okay? And feel free to put any of your questions in the chat. I am keeping an eye on the chat. But at its core, a psychic is someone who perceives information beyond the five physical senses. Okay, so you have your clear senses. That's it, it's that simple. In very plain, grounded language, a psychic is a person who is super skilled at reading subtle energy cues, like you can sense energy changing around you, or you notice patterns, impressions, even signals that are not purely logical. It never makes sense, right? Your intuition is never going to make sense. but it's always going to be accurate, right? And then someone who receives information through intuition rather than deduction. So you're not imagining it, you're not making things up. The information was given to you, it just arrived like that, and you have to recognize it. That's the most important thing about being a psychic intuitive. Now, this information, if you're thinking, how does it come through? Well, it comes through your clairs. Your clairs, we have 8 different clairs, and there are 4 which are major, which will be clairvoyance, which is your clear seeing, clairaudience, hearing, clairsentience would be your sense, your touch, right? Claircognizance is your knowing. But then you also have 4 little ones, like the minor clairs, as I call them. They're not really minor. I think we should have all 8 equally developed. But I know that mostly people don't have taste and smell and touch and clear empathy, which is sensing other people's emotions. That's a little, like, those are less used clairs, right? And you may be someone who just receives everything through taste. So you're really clairgustant, right? So we use a lot of these clairs already. You may not have the language for it. You may not know what you're doing, but that's what you're doing. You're using your clear senses to receive information that does not make sense to your analytical brain. Okay, so that's a psychic. Now, I want to be clear about what a psychic is not, because there's so much misunderstanding, right? And normally, when people talk about a psychic, they combine it with mediumship. They'll say a psychic medium. Now, remember that we have at CLI, we have psychic classes and then we have mediumship classes. There's a reason why those things are separated, right? There's a reason why we don't combine the two, because those are not the same thing. A psychic would be between the client and the psychic. So it's kind of like a two-way communication. You're reading the person that is in front of you. A mediumship reading is where it's a three-way communication. So you have the medium, and then on one side you have the living person, and on the other side you'll have the post-material body, or the dead person, as we call it. So that's a medium mystic reading, right? And not all psychics are mediums. You have to train yourself to become a medium. But all mediums are psychics, because psychic is where we all begin. We are born with psychic senses. Okay, so if you're thinking, am I a psychic? Yes, of course you are a psychic. You just need maybe a little bit of training and the language to recognize it, but we are all psychics. Now, a psychic is someone, as I mentioned to you, we don't do future fortune telling. Like that, to me, does not exist, because you cannot predict someone's fixed future, right? There are so many different possibilities depending on what the person does every day. So you cannot just tell someone that, oh, this is what's going to happen with you in 5 years, right? They may decide to go a completely different path, and 5 years from now, their life's going to look different. So what you could potentially do when people say fortune telling, they are giving you one of the many different possibilities for you. Yeah. So a psychic is not someone who predicts a fixed future. Um, a psychic is also not someone who is going to give away personal power. It's not someone who's always on or always kind of constantly receiving information. Let me see what's coming in the chat. I see something here. Ooh, I have a question here. I'm going to come to that in a second. Okay, let me just get through some of the stuff and I'll answer your questions. Intuition isn't, I want you to remember this, because your intuition, we all have it, is not the opposite of logic, by the way. It's another way of knowing, right? And our goal with this training is that you're able to develop both. So they work in harmony rather than compete with each other, because your logic comes from the left side of your brain and your intuition is on the right side of your brain, and you want to use both, right? And we don't ask students to abandon your critical thinking. Okay, that's not the goal here. We teach you to kind of combine the two, intuition with discernment and wisdom and lived experience. So a skilled psychic will work with choice, with boundaries and consent. Now, I want to get into, before we kind of talk about anything else. I want to show you what we cover week after week. Okay, there's so much that happens in this class, which to me sometimes it's mind blowing the number of different things that we cover in the psychic intuitive training. Mediumship to me is super simple because it's all we do is speak with dead folks. Mediumship one. That's all we do, different techniques to get to that point. Psychic one is fun. I actually really enjoy Psychic one because you actually study so many different things. So let's begin with your week one. Your week one is going to be about establishing clarity, ethics, and regulation. Now, psychic development is not about opening yourself 24/7, as I mentioned. You don't want to be an open door to information flowing in. It's going to exhaust you. At one point, you are going to lose touch with what is yours, what is someone else's. You'll start absorbing energy from other people. You'll feel drained and tired and exhausted from it. So, your week number one is to me, you're going to learn something that I believe is one of the most important skills in psychic work, in mediumship. If you ever think about becoming a death doula, if you want to become a grief educator, anything you do with this work, this is the most important thing you're going to need, which is boundaries, energetic boundaries. So we spend some time in your week now, number one, which is basically how do you know what is yours and what is not yours, right? How do you know, how can you stay compassionate without absorbing other people's energy? Now, I don't know how many of you, but if you are someone, just let me know in the chat. You feel like every time you are with a group of folks, you go home feeling tired, like you feel like you exhaust yourself. It's because you are draining energy, right? They're taking all your energy and they're giving you theirs. And that's what a open, intuitive person does. They don't know how to kind of keep other people's energies out, right? So that's your week number one. In your second week, we get into your chakras, nadis, and your biospace, which is basically your aura, right? And this is where we begin exploring the energetic system of your body. We are going to look at how the human energy field is designed, not as an abstract idea. Okay, this is not like weird logic. Like we want to use some um, we want to use some science in it. Okay, we want to actually study the human body. So we are going to, the week number two is basically a very practical framework that helps explain experiences that people may have, that you may have had an experience before that you cannot wrap your head around. That is your week number two. So you're going to begin sensing energy in a very simple and a very grounded way without feeling pressure to make sense of everything that you're receiving. Week three, aura readings. I know everyone kind of thinks about a psychic as someone who reads auras, right? So yes, but there's a additional twist to your week number three and four. The way we do aura readings is I like to call it medical intuitive, where you begin by reading people's bodies. And the more you can read people's bodies, you can then read what is going on in their love space, what's going on in money, how are they manifesting things, how healthy do they feel mentally and emotionally and physically. So everything starts with the body, right? So that is your medical intuitive. And we spend 2 weeks. We spend your week number three and four on medical intuitive readings. Okay, this is where we build your readings. How do you read someone? And you want to start reading someone by looking at their energy space. That's how we read. So that's going to be your week two, three and four. Your week number five is where we begin to kind of look at different divination tools, right? So think of, for those of you who have never done anything with psychic work, um, there are a couple of different ways of reading people, right? One is you just use your body and your clear senses to read someone. So you're using nothing from the outside. You're not using tarot or pendulum or none of that. You simply read them by looking at them, and your body is the vessel, is the instrument. But the divination tools like tarot, pendulum actually help you put another layer of validation. So you can kind of create a nice layer reading by combining different divination tools. So your week number five is where you kind of begin to trust your own intuition, and we start introducing those different tools. Okay, and people have asked this question before: why isn't there a psychic intuitive two, level two? So the reason for that is once you go through level one training, you get to specialize in any of these different divination tools, like Gina did. So did she did the psychic training, but then she said, you know what, I actually like tarot, right? So she did the tarot training. So tarot allows her to have another layer of validation on top of her psychic reading. So your week number 5 is tarot. We are going to have a guest speaker that week, and they will talk about different symbolisms, how to use tarot, how to tell a story using a tarot, how to combine psychic and tarot together. Your week number 6 is dreams. So dreams are one of the oldest. I think they gotta be the oldest, right? And most natural intuitive language. Okay, so this week we are going to explore how intuition communicates with us symbolically in our dreams. We are going to look at personal symbolism. We are going to look at different kinds of dreams, case studies, and how to, if someone brings you a dream, you should be able to give them a reading just based off their dream, because your dreams are telling you something about what's going on in your life right now. Okay, so we are going to use your dreams to create readings. Week number 7 is one of the most fascinating discoveries in psychic development for me. And we this is a new addition, week 7. No, not really week 7. Week 9 is a new addition to this course. Week 7 is psychometry. How many of you know what psychometry is? Does anyone know what psychometry is? Just put that in the chat. Psychometry is really interesting to me because you can actually use psychometry not only in psychic, but also in mediumship. Okay, it's like, yeah, using objects or reading objects, right? The simple idea is everything that you interact with leaves an energetic imprint. So if I use this pen and then I pass this pen on to, let's say, my daughter, this pen is still going to have my energetic imprint on it, right? My DNA, my energy on it because I've used it. So now she, my daughter, is bringing this new object into her space, but she's really bringing me in her space because it has so much of my energy on it. And if you actually bring an object to a psychic, just by looking at the object, they should be able to read it, right? And that's psychometry. You're able to read objects, you're able to read places, uh, anything, pretty much anything that's, is given to you because it has an energetic imprint left behind by whoever has used it before. The example that comes to my mind, if you ever go to a like an antique store, go into an antique store and look at the furniture in an antique store, it's always heavy, right? It always feels like so much heavier than going to, let's say, IKEA, for instance, where everything is new. Because the antique store has objects which have been used by other people before, right? And they may be beautiful, but they are completely wrapped in energetic imprints of other people, which is why they feel heavier. And notice I'm not saying negative, I'm just saying heavier. They feel a lot more heavier. Your week number 8 is pendulums. If anyone has done pendulums before, we also do a 4-hour workshop on pendulums every year. This year, I think it's in November, but this class is going to be 2 hours of pendulum work. Okay, so we are going to look at how you can use your pendulum as a wonderful teacher because it allows you to, once again, once you do your psychic reading, and if you have additional questions, you can always use your pendulum to find the answers, to see what your intuition is really telling you. So we'll be spending your week number 8 in pendulums. And then my favorite, week number 9. This is what I'm super excited about because we have not done Akashic records in Psychic Intuitive before. This is the first time you're going to do it. And I don't know if anyone on this call knows about Akashic records or if you have access to your records, but these are Akash means the sky. Akashic records means the records which exist in the sky. So there's this idea that every soul has a book. Pretty much think of it as a book. If you have to visualize it, think of it as a book that has all your information in it. Every lifetime, every memory, everything you've ever done is recorded, right, in this book. And you're able to access the book. You're able to read your records. You're able to release soul contracts if you must do that. You're able to rewrite soul contracts. You're able to read contracts. So that is Akashic records. And these are, uh, you know, in the 2 hours that we have here, you see this, it says an extended 4 hours. So what we have done for the Akashic records, because it's such a big topic, 2 hours is not going to be enough. So we are going to do a 4 hour extended class on Akashic records. Okay, it's going to be 4 hours. And we are going to prepare ourselves energetically before we enter the records. Then we are going to study how to ask meaningful questions, how to receive information, and what should you be doing with that information when you receive it. So it is going to be a 4 hour session. And then finally, we're in the last, almost there, in the last leg of your training. And then we'll open up some for some questions in a second. But your week 10 is crystals. So I always tell folks that when you read someone, whether it's a mediumship reading, but more importantly, a psychic reading, you never want your client to leave feeling unsure, afraid, not sure what to do, what are the next steps. So you always want them to leave with some next steps, right? You want them to know what they should be doing to resolve whatever came up. So crystals is a really nice way of doing it. So in this week, we have we do have a really long 18-week crystal certification. However, this class is 2 hours, and in those 2 hours, we kind of work on different solutions for your client, right? The crystal layouts. We are going to make a list of things that you can recommend to your client depending on what comes up for them. We will discuss, it's a very important aspect of professional practice, how to leave a client with practical, empowering recommendations. And crystals is going to be one of them. So I want you to have just a good understanding of how crystals work and how you can actually let your clients teach your clients about crystals, how you can recommend some really easy crystal layouts to your clients. So we'll do that in your week number 10. And then last 2 weeks is going to be a practice lab. So in the past, what we have done is every class is kind of a combination between studying and then practicing. But then you don't get to do anything well. I mean, you have just 1 hour of crystals, it's not enough. So we took all the practice into the last 2 weeks. Okay, so your week number 11, we are going to build a reading. So we will practice on each other in the class. Okay, that's how we start. And then week number 12 is we will have outside client. We'll have another person come in from the outside, and then you'll be reading them in class, your week number 12. There are a few things I need to mention because we have new folks today. Once you go through any training, so if you do Psychic Intuitive 1 at CLI, then you can do it for free as many times as you want. Okay, and I think it is something that is necessary because it's impossible for you to digest everything in 12 weeks and become an awesome psychic. You need a lot of training, you need practice, you need to stay in the community. So that's available to you, right? So once you get to the 12 weeks, you can study something else or you can redo level 1 again. You can redo psychic 1 again. And once you get into it, you will actually appreciate that because it's such a, I just don't see anyone becoming a pro medium or a psychic in like 10 weeks. There's so much training and so much practice that is needed to get to a certain point. Okay, so you have that. Also, it is a 12-week class, right? So it's going to start on August 29th, and we are going to see each other every Saturday. So it's Saturdays. Let me go here. It's going to be Saturdays from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. It's all virtual, so it's going to be like this, but obviously you'll be able to start your cameras, audio. It's a little bit more engaging. It's not just me talking. But the next one starts on August 29. We have one coming up next year on February 6th. That's going to be on Saturdays too. Okay, so let me come back here for a quick second. Everything that we study at CLI, we try to also kind of balance it with a science-based approach. My background is therapy, so I used to be a therapist, and I'm like a data nerd. So every time we teach something, I want to go and like back it up with something, some research, right? So you want to study it that way. And a lot of the psychic and mediumship work that we do is a combination of that. You understand the mechanics, you understand the science behind how psychics actually do what they do, and then you practice it. And that's how you become a well-rounded psychic, right? And then for those of you who are interested in signing up, we do have payment plans for this. So if you need a payment plan, all you have to do is send me an email. My email is on the screen here. Drop me a line and say that you're interested in taking the class. If you also need to set up some time to just chat with me, like a 15-minute call to just do a one-on-one, just email me and let me know. And we can schedule a quick call for you and I to connect. And hopefully I'll see some of you in the class in August. But let me just stop share for a quick second. I can see everyone here. Okay. So let's see if you guys have any questions at this point. You can put your questions in the chat. What's the cost? Yes, very good question. So let me go reverse on that. So we have, for every certification, we have a student portal, okay? And in the student portal, after every class, you are going to have access to the replays. You're going to get all your assignments because there are going to be weekly assignments. There's going to be notes. There's going to be stuff that we share. So it's all in the student portal. The replays will stay on for 3 months after your date of graduation. Okay, and you have access to them for 3 months, and then we clean it up because none of these classes are scripted. Okay, they're all channeled classes. So every time you take a class is something new. So we use the same student portal for every group. So after 3 months, the stuff will be gone, but you can download everything, save it to your computer so that you have access to it lifelong, or you can just retake it, right? You can redo the class again. The cost for the Psychic Intuitive is 1350, okay, 1350, 1350. And we have payment plans. So if you need a payment plan, you have to email me. If you do not need a payment plan, you can just go on let me just show you this real quick. You can just go on the site and the registration is open right now for these classes. So here, clius.org. You go under group certifications and you see that Psychic Intuitive is right here. It's posted. So we have Psychic Intuitive starting on August 29. We have Mediumship, which is going to start on August 30th. So there's a bunch of classes coming up in August that you can look and read, and you can always reach out if you need help signing up for any of this. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Yes. Yeah, as I mentioned before, you don't have to become a professional psychic who gives readings and, makes money of it. Doesn't have to be that. I like psychic training because I think it's useful in your everyday life. Everything that you study in these classes, you can apply it for yourself and your loved ones. Mediumship to some extent is also like that, just so you guys know. Um, because there's such a misunderstanding, right? People think mediumship is speaking with dead folks. That is the icing on the cake. It's because you become a quiet vessel. It's because you become a healed vessel. You're now able to speak with anyone you want to speak with, living and or dead. And that's how I think about mediumship. So mediumship is not just if you want to become a professional medium. It's anyone who's doing deep shadow work on themselves. Mediumship is great. Level two mediumship is ancestral healing, right? So then we start working on your family healing and stuff like that. So it's a lot of work on yourself, both psychic and mediumship. But mediumship is definitely heavier on working on yourself more. Yeah. Any, let's see, I think I saw something here. Oh, the secret behind my constant positive energy, I would rather be napping now on a Saturday afternoon, is because I love what I do. I love spending my time with folks like you on a weekend. It's like the best thing ever, right? Um, Promote. I had a bad experience with a psychic many years ago. He chose a card that predicted a death in my family and drew another card to make sure it was the same prediction. Okay, so let me tell you this. There is If anyone says to you that they can accurately predict your future, they're probably half lying to you. I'm saying half lying because um, the way fortune telling works is they are showing you when you do a psychic reading for someone, you're reading their present moment energy, what's going on right now. That can change like that, right? You move once the class is done, you may decide to make changes in your life, and then that reading goes out of the window. Um, but if you don't make any changes, that energy will stick, and what the psychic told you may actually happen for you. So, a psychic is basically just telling you what's going on right now. They're making you aware of your present energy that can then decide what kind of future you manifest. But there is just so many possibilities, like a trillion possibilities of for your future, right? So it's not set in stone. It's how you decide to build it. And I 100% believe in that. You can change, you can alter, you can manifest whatever the heck you want to manifest in your life. So anyone telling you that they know exactly what's going to happen with you, probably maybe they're not trained. They're definitely not trained with me. If they were, they will not say something like that to you. But any other questions? Let's come here. Any other questions about the upcoming training? I am going to add this link to the chat so you guys can go on the website and look things up. Thank you, Gina. And Gina, so this psychic intuitive one will be free for you if you decide to do it because you've done it before with Jen. And not much, she may not have covered all the different divination tools. I know that she didn't do crystals and stuff like that, but it's pretty much the baseline is the same, right? As psychic training. So if you decide to do it, it'll be free for you. But let's see, anyone else? Any other questions before we wrap up? So while I have you guys, I wanted to show you because one of you asked me about the the portal, where do you access the replays and everything. So I'm going to show you what we have for classes, right? So basically, once you start the class, you'll be given access to what looks like this. Okay, so this is the Mediumship 2 portal that we have classes going on right now. So week after week, they have access to the replays. They get access to all their documents. They can download things. They can keep everything. They can save everything to their computers. Then after you graduate, you still have access to it for 3 months. And then after 3 months, we'll wipe everything clean. And the new classes begin. So the new classes will probably bring up new things, and you will not have access to new classes unless you decide to redo it. Okay, unless you decide to come back into the same training. Okay. Oh, you're a friend of Alicia. Yes, yeah. Alicia's done mediumship 1, 2. She's been with CLI for such a long, and she's so talented. She's amazing. If she's never given you a reading, a mediumship reading, you should be like, give me a reading today. Okay, she's incredibly talented. Yeah. Amazing, folks. So let's wrap up so you can all go enjoy your Saturday afternoons. Okay, I have a question here. Let me go back up. After taking psychic level 1 and then mediumship, will mediumship help expand on the psychic level 1? What a great question. Is it Suzanne? Is that your name? I'm sorry. I don't know what your name is. Yeah, Suzanne. Okay, perfect. Um, yes and no. Okay, yes and no to that question. I'll tell you why. So psychic is all about living realm. So you're reading human beings, you're reading objects, you're reading places, locations, all those things. Mediumship is speaking with dead folks. So mediumship is a step up, right? So if you went to spiritual university, your psychic training is your bachelor's, and then you build on it. So it kind of, yes, it complements it, but it's not an overlap. Okay, it's a completely different training. But it helps you if you have done psychic, okay, because you're warmed up, your clairs are developed, you have a good understanding of boundaries. So now you can venture into mediumship. There are people who will do mediumship. I think Gina was one of them. Sometimes people start with mediumship. They do mediumship 1 and then they do psychic 1 after that. Or they sometimes do it at the same time. And then once they do that, maybe they'll repeat it a second time and then jump into level 2 mediumship. While you are doing mediumship, there are other things like grief education, there's death doula training, right? So there's so many different things under mediumship that you can explore. But I do not want to overwhelm you. Okay, so for now, just know that psychic would definitely help you with mediumship, but mediumship will help you with psychic too. So it's really, you can go either way. You're not going to go wrong with any of those classes. Okay. Okay, dokes. Anything else? So let's wrap up. I will send you a replay for this, but also there's a session I did called Path Forward, which kind of explains the different paths that you can take in psychic, mediumship. I will make sure to send you guys that video as well, so you can play it and kind of wrap your head around spiritual education and how it works and how there are like different levels. It really depends where you want to start. You cannot go wrong with any of these classes, to be honest. But once again, of course, I'm going to say that, right? These are my classes. So if anyone feels like they want to speak with someone who has taken classes, let me know, and I can always connect you with someone who has done some of the training so they can give you their perspective of what kind of helped them. It's good to have that as well. But thank you, and hopefully I'll see some of you in August. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.